This is Kamp Kenan. What's going on, Kamp Kenan Army? How you all doing? Woo! Good day, good day. We've got a nice breeze, not too humid. I'm kind of digging this. Let's go see some animals, shall we? But before we do that, or while we do that, we're gonna answer all the June Ask Kamp Kenan questions in rapid fire succession. Hi guys, how you doing? Tom, proceed to ask the first question.
I will. These are the ones that we weren't able to answer in June videos.
Okay.
Why not answer them all anyway so everyone gets their answer? I love it.
Let's do it. I love it
All
too.
right, here we go.
Okay.
How much fruit is too much fruit for your tortoises? Christopher Marks.
Okay, I think we did answer this, but I'm going to rapidly answer it again in case some of you guys didn't see that video. With tortoises that are actually fruitivorous or animals that eat more fruit, like, for example, redfoot tortoises and mountain tortoises, and mostly tortoises that live in the forest, you can feed about, I'd say about 80% fruit on some days, but you also want to flip that. I would say you'd want to do 60% roughage, leaves and stuff like that, and then you can add, you know, the next 40% can be fruit. With guys like these and sulcatas and star tortoises and leopard tortoises and any grazing type species, you want to bump that down. You want to bump up the roughage, in fact, to about 70 to 75% roughage, and then fruit. But what kind of fruit? Never citrus for any tortoise. And I would feed these particular guys and the grazers that I mentioned, watermelon, melon, cantaloupe, some papaya is good for digestion. But you don't want to always feed fruit. Some people say no fruit at all, anytime. Problem is with that is you can tend to get problems with the tortoises because then the tortoises don't have enough water in the diet. And when they get water from a food stuff, it's considered preformed water. Oh no, you're gonna step right on, Socrates. What are you doing? That's called preformed water. And preformed water is water they can get out of a food product or a food item. Okay, so there you go. I hope that makes sense, everybody. Next question.
Okay, good morning, Kenan. I was wondering if you have any baby red-footed tortoise for adoption around the 2nd of August.
I don't. No.
I live in North Fort Myers and want to adopt one, maybe even 2. Can you help me?
Well, very cool. Listen, I'm not really, you know, I sell the babies, and you know, I'm not a nonprofit. I do sell the babies. That being said, all the money does go back into the camp, so I don't want to use the term adoption, but I don't have any baby redfoot tortoises right now. I'll be getting eggs starting in September. Hatchlings start in about January.
Oh, I just walked through the biggest
spider web. Yeah.
Is it all over me?
Oh, I don't know, Tom. We got to keep this video going. Tom's freaking out, man.
I'm all right.
It's just a spider, bro.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Stop.
Just kidding. Just scaring
I don't
Tom.
like you. All right. Hi. I noticed sometimes it comes. Oh, I've noticed sometimes white slime comes out of my hermans. Is it true tortoises have 3 kinds of excrements, and are the white goo dangerous? Also, do T5 lights give better light than basking lights, or should you run both?
Okay.
Alexander Lice.
All right, Alexander. I've answered this many times on the channel, and that's fine. I'll answer it as many times as I have to. I don't mind talking about white slime coming out of the cloacas of tortoises. Tortoises tend to do things like that because the white slime is actually uric acids. Human beings will urinate and we break it down into liquid form, whereas tortoises remove their urates as a paste, which has a toothpaste consistency, which is what you're aiming for. Sometimes you'll see the paste turn into a powder. Then you know the tortoise is getting dehydrated because they're trying to hold on to as much water as possible. And if they continue to get dehydrated, they'll go into kidney failure because those white crystals, the uric acid, will build up in the kidneys and it will essentially shut down their kidneys. It's called renal failure. And when that happens, tortoise is dead. So in earlier video, remember I talked about giving watermelon and cantaloupe preformed water. That's a great way to make sure your tortoises are always being hydrated, in addition to the soaking that you should do 2 to 3 times a week, and of course leaving the enclosure with a fresh water bowl at all times. So that excrement you know, comes out of the cloaca. They make poop, and then they'll also do the passing of the urates. But the urates can either come out in a toothpaste-like consistency, which is what you're aiming for, or it'll come out in more of a kind of almost like a chalky kind of consistency, which is no bueno. And you'll also see some clear liquid with that sometimes as well when the tortoise is totally hydrated. Cool. Let's keep walking over here. He's
All
reading
right.
and walking. Sorry,
Yeah.
folks. I'm not rushing you guys.
It's all
I'm
good.
just, we're trying to get through all these
Hey,
questions.
Kenan, I was wondering.
Yeah.
If you could give me some tips on keeping sulcata tortoises outdoors in South Carolina. Thanks and love the beard, Isaiah Milton.
Oh, Isaiah, you know the way to a man's heart. Well, Isaiah, don't I feel dastardly when I do that?
It looks it.
Okay. All right, so we happen to be in the sulcata tortoise enclosure, so that's why we didn't plan these questions, by the way. It's just happening. In South Carolina, you'll have mild winters. You're going to need at least something that big to house and warm them during the winter. The bigger you can go, the better as far as a hide box or a heated shelter. This one is heated because the most these guys have to be in here in South Florida is maybe a few nights, a week at the most. And a week in there is okay when you're talking about an animal that lives about 100 years. Remember that time when we were locked up in the hide box for a week? Felt like a day, because these guys, they live a long time.
Plus they go in burrows.
They go in burrows, exactly, in their native environment of the Sahel in Africa, southern fringe of the Sahara Desert. These animals dig long burrows similar to our gopher tortoises, which allow them to escape the cold nights of the desert and the hot days. And they're a crepuscular species. I mentioned that in videos before, meaning they're active at dawn and dusk. Right now, they're active. Don't get electrocuted, Tom. Right now, there's the electric fence. I recommend one of those if you plan on breeding them so that raccoons don't eat the eggs. But you guys see, this is their new enclosure. These guys have a lot of space. There's some weeds and grasses growing. They have bushes to hide in. They've got their heated shelter, and most importantly is a very strong fence that is sunken into the ground at least 18 inches, because we know they dig. So you don't want these guys to go through the fence, and you don't want them to dig through it. So this thing goes down, okay? It goes down at about 18 inches. But beyond that, it's pretty strong. It's a strong, solid fence. You don't want anything that they can see through, because if they can see through it, they're so strong and determined they'll go through it. Those are just a few tips. We've got some sulcata videos you should check out on our channel for some more in-depth knowledge.
Very good. Why do turtles yawn? Mary Lynn Brown.
That's a real yawn, by the way. Same reason human beings will yawn, just getting a little oxygen in a rapid pace. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that was easy.
Yeah.
Okay. How old do tortoises need to be when you can sex them? We've gotten this one many times.
Many times.
Also, how long can you keep two males or a male and female together till you have to separate them when keeping them in a 5/6 foot tortoise table to stop, avoid aggression? Love your channel, Karen B.
Karen, I appreciate that question. However, there's some gaps. There's some gaps in that. I don't know what species you're talking about. With sulcatas, you have to have a large area with a lot of visual barriers, and you have to keep these animals together for a while to get them to cohabitate. Sometimes it never works out, but sometimes it does, and the only time you have any kind of battle is during breeding season. Now, if it's a smaller species, I don't know. It's all up to you to make sure that the battles aren't going on too long, the bullying isn't going on too long, and that the weaker tortoise isn't becoming suppressed, isn't becoming depressed and not moving around and not eating and things like that. It's all going to be on the keeper knowledge and the keeper's attention to what those animals are doing. There was a lot more in that question as well.
Well, you know, the sexing thing, even
Yes,
I know,
yeah.
It takes years.
It takes years
and it depends on the
most
species,
of
right?
tortoise.
They
Yeah,
gotta get big.
it takes years in size. For example, with sulcatas, it could take 6-7 years, and it depends on the size of the animal. About 10 years to fully know. But with Aldabra tortoises, it takes until they're about 200 pounds before you can really find out. Them and galops, about 200 pounds before you start to see sexual dimorphism. All right,
That's a long time.
It's a long time. So some people say they can tell right out of the egg. I don't believe them, and I don't trust 100% temperature sex determination with incubation temperatures. I never sell animals sexed as babies. Don't do it, because I don't want you coming back to me in 10 years yelling at me.
Yeah.
I just say, hey man,
Patience is a virtue when a
is.
tortoise keeper, right?
that's the truth. And you know, it's kind of funny because I'm ADD and hyperactive as all get out, but these dudes have chilled me out, helped me focus my chi and become more zen so that I may levitate over this pond into the next question.
All right, very good. All right, here we go. Oh, this might be something similar here. Hold on. Actually, it's different. Nice jump.
Thank you. I levitated.
How big do turtles have to be to safely put in an outside enclosure without fear of a bird of prey coming down for them? Ryan McNulty. Ryan's
All right.
art. We know Ryan.
What's up, Ryan? How you doing, man? See you on the lives all the time. There's a lot of weed whacking going on over there. Let's go over here.
Okay.
Anyway, good question. Depends on the species. Well, not really, actually. It depends on where you live and what birds of prey you have. Here we have red-shouldered hawks, red-tailed hawks. We've got osprey. We've got a plethora of winged dinosaur ancestors or progeny that will come and eat your turtles and tortoises. I like to get my turtles and tortoises about that big before they get outside without any kind of cover. So I'm talking maybe, it's really, I'm eyeballing it. I'm thinking that's about 8-9 inches straight length.
Something that looks too big or heavy, right?
That's it. Too big, too heavy, more than a few pounds that bird can't lift it and drop it, because that's what they'll do. They'll pick them up, fly up, drop it, smash them open, and then eat out there.
To me, it sounds like you got to research what kind of birds you have in your area and what they can, how much they can lift, right?
It's a pretty smart guy, Tom.
Okay, just throwing it out there.
Thanks, you're helping me. Sometimes I don't know all the answers, people. That's why we're here. Someone in the comments may know, and you can help out. But by and large, guys, we want to keep, like here are the cherry heads. You want to keep, you know, these guys have had no issues with. They've got a lot of cover. Birds don't like to fly down into a lot of cover, but you can see how large they are. No birds flying away with that. No raccoon can pry open their shell. Plus, to save from predators, some things you can do is run fishing line over your enclosure, because birds don't like to fly through anything, and they get freaked out when they hit something and can't see it.
Yep.
All right, how we doing on questions?
We're
almost
good.
all
We
the way
only
around
got
the
2
camp.
left.
Okay.
And the next one comes from another good friend on Patreon that we always get stuff from. Have you had to treat any of the tortoises for foreign body ingestion,
I answered this.
constipation,
Yeah.
or blockage? Tree bark, gravel, leaf
Yes,
litter?
I know this question.
It's
We've
from
answered
Margot,
it.
our friend Margot, who's a vet.
Hi, Margot.
Margot's very interested. Like, I love that a vet wants to know from someone who has
right, and I
experience
answered
with
this
stuff.
question, and yes,
Oh,
I
you did?
have.
I'm sorry.
I have. I totally have. We'll just answer it again. Why not? Yes, I have. I've done mineral oil up the cloaca and in the mouth. I've done that Metamucil or psyllium powder. You can actually go to your local supermarket and buy like just non-flavored Metamucil. Has psyllium in it, helps get sand out. You can do that as a maintenance. You sprinkle it on their food every few months. Tortoises live on the ground, so they're always grazing, and they're ingesting little bits of sand over time as they eat and maybe pull up some of the roots of the plant species. So you know that's important. And the psyllium helps it bind together so they can pass it. In extreme cases, you being a vet know that you may have to actually cut into the animal, which is a last resort. You don't want any foreign bodies like that to stay in. I actually had one of my sulcatas eat like red twine, and in 2 weeks I found it in the poop.
Wow.
So they can pass things, but by and large, don't let that happen.
Okay, last question from the month of June.
Okay.
Last question, and it's a long one. It's a long one. Ready? I have lived, oh, this is the last time we might see the Jeep here.
Yeah,
Just so
that's
people
right.
know. This might be the end of the
Might be
Jeep.
the end of the Jeep. I sold
Sadly,
the Jeep. It's getting
yeah.
picked up.
All right.
Anyway.
I have
bye.
lived all over the world, and water has been vastly different in each part. Growing up on the Great Lakes provided us with amazing fresh water. While serving in Hawaii, I kept African cichlids. The Hawaiian water, filtered through volcanic rocks, was the cleanest. Now I have been in Arizona for nearly a decade and learned the hard way that the hard water found in Arizona is lethal for salt and freshwater fish. I have a water softener system for showers and washing the cars, and a reverse osmosis system for drinking. My fish are thriving, but I am concerned for my 2 sulcatas. I would figure the hard water would be good for them, like collard greens with a high calcium content, or is that not good for their internal organs? Reverse osmosis or standard tap? Diane Feeder.
Diane. That's,
Dan. I'm sorry,
Oh,
Dan.
Dan.
Yeah.
Hi, Dan. Sorry about that mix-up. Dan, good question. I have not seen in my experience any problems with hard or soft water with sulcatas. You know, this is total guessing where they're from in the wild. It is a good question, and to be honest, it's okay not to know something. I can't give you a definitive answer because I am not 100% sure. I can say that the water that comes out of the well here is tannin. It's tannic rich, so it's more acidic. I've had no issues, but then again, I also have my cichlids in an area in ponds that is hard water. I know it's very alkaline because I have a lot of coral rock, and that coral rock creates that alkalinity. So as for the tortoises, I just don't know. I'm stumped. I have had no problem with either water sources. So I would say just keep an eye on them, but I don't think there's an issue, personally. The thing that I would worry about is city water having too much chlorine in it. In that case, ZooMed makes the Repti-safe thing that you can put in the water bowls, and you may have to look into finding a larger way, or letting the water sit and letting the water kind of I believe some kind of filtration for the chlorine, if you have any.
This is nice. We're ending it on perhaps the last beautiful image of you and the famed Kamp Kenan Jeep.
Yeah. She blew a rod bearing, but I have sold her. Friend's gonna put a new engine in her and resell her. It's very sad. She did great. I had her about 10 years, 2002 Wrangler. But don't worry, because as you know, we've got big plans for the future, and Kamp Kenan will always have a Kamp Kenan mobile. Just hang tight. See yous. Oh, by the way, don't forget to go to patreon.com/Kamp Kenan. We'll answer more of these next month. Bye.